Welcome to Inside the Capitol. I'm Alicia Powe in Washington, reporting for TvAbraham. This week, I asked senators point blank, if this blockade pushes gas prices to $5 a gallon, what do you want the administration to do? And what should America's objectives be right now? Deterrence, de-escalation, or direct pressure on Iran? Here's what they told me.
We should stop the war. I mean, the gas prices were normal on February 27 and the Strait of Hormuz was open on February 27. The president's decision to go to war without a plan, without a rationale, without the support of allies, without the support of the American public, and without a vote of Congress, that's why people are paying more. So I don't know that there's anything magic about a particular number. Gas has gone up $1 a gallon already, and it could go up more, but it also could stay up for a long time because the war has destroyed a lot of the infrastructure that's needed to produce or refine or export oil. So I think the right strategy right now is for us to stop the war.
The administration has been very clear that the goal of this operation is to keep nuclear weapons out of the hands of Iran, a country that chants death to America and has a missile that can reach the United States. Is very dangerous, and we cannot allow that to happen. So once the operation reaches the point where the president feels like he's got that degraded, we get the Straits of Hormuz open again, gas prices should start coming back down.
If gas prices hit $5 a gallon because of the blockade in the Strait, what would you like the administration to do?
Well, in the war, I think that the president said this morning, I think to ABC, that he thinks that the war could be over the next 2 days. That would be great. I hope that's accurate. I think the president's on the right track there. I think we need to bring this to a conclusion. Congress could also lower the gas tax. We could suspend it. That's 20 cents. That's not nothing. We could also do things like get rid of all taxes on health care. We ought to be doing everything we can right now to try to bring down prices for the American people. Really. No, Congress, what is Congress doing? Not very much. Not very much. Our farmers are just getting hammered in Missouri right now, and I think we ought to investigate the fertilizer companies. I know they're saying, the straits are closed. They have a lot of precursors, the inputs already in country, in their warehouses. This looks like classic price gouging to me. I saw this 1,000 times when I was Attorney General of Missouri. You have a natural disaster, and then all of the gas companies and gas stations hike up prices. All of a sudden, you can't buy a shovel for more than under $30. That's, I think, what's going on with these fertilizer companies. I think it's outrageous. But I think that nobody would disagree with bringing it to a swift conclusion. I think that everybody would be in favor of winding this down and making sure, of course, our national security interests are protected. But listen, the president's put their nuclear program under 1,000 feet of rubble. I don't know what else you can do militarily. Unless we're going to invade the country, which I think is a bad idea, and I don't think anybody wants that. So my view is, I think when the president talks about bringing this to a conclusion, I think he's on the right track, and I hope that that'll happen soon. NATO, from my perspective, what we need NATO to do most is two things. Number one is they need to be paying, the European nations need to be paying more into NATO. They need to be making more contributions. And number two, when it comes to the European continent, they need to be doing more on the continent of Europe. They really do. The whole Ukraine crisis, they ought to be the ones who are taking the lead in dealing with Russia. We've got our hands full, as we see, everywhere else around the globe. So I think we do need to have some tough conversations with our NATO allies. I'd start with that. And hopefully the situation in the Strait will resolve itself as part of these negotiations. But we'll just have to see. I don't know. I don't have a prediction for you. Other than that, I hope this is over.
I think that President Trump's blockade is only aggravating the world economic turmoil and disadvantaging many of our allies, as well as our own economy. Seeing only the beginnings of the seismic economic effect that will ripple through the world economy, and it will be painful.
Ultimately, energy prices will be lower, but in the short term, we've got to make sure Iran does not have nuclear weapons.
The White House claims the war is over. Why is the blockade ongoing in the Strait of Hormuz? Are you on the same page as the White House with this?
So the only thing that the Iranians understand, the regime now, the only thing that Iranian regime understands is strength. and force. And we are going to keep that in place until they not only agree to the conditions that the president has set out, but also that they are agree to the verification process so that we know that they will not be able to build a nuclear weapon, that they will not be able to continue to manufacture and fire off ballistic missiles, and that they will not be able to continue to build and send these one-way drones to close the strait or to attack their neighbors or anyone else. So it's, again, they only understand force, and we have to keep the force in place until we both have the agreement we need and we know that it can be verified.
It was not realistic to think that we were going to be able to capture all of their facilities. I never considered that to be the goal. I considered the goal to be stop the baby steps that Iran had taken to restart its nuclear program and stop Iran from stockpiling the cruise missiles and the ballistic missiles that they could use to extort the world. Their goal, the Supreme Leader's goal, who's now of course dead, is Jimmy Hoffa, but the Supreme Leader's goal at the time was to stockpile so many ballistic missiles and so many cruise missiles with the technology to hit Paris and Berlin and Turkey and say, okay, we're going to restart our nuclear program. They would say that to the United States and Israel, and Iran would say to us, and if you come back in and bomb us, our nuclear program that we're restarting, fine, have at it. But we're going to destroy the Middle East, and we're going to start hitting other countries. And that's what we wanted to avoid, and that's what we, I think, have stopped for a while. Now, I read some reports where people say, and some of the talking heads say, oh, they'll just rebuild. Stupid should hurt more. Could they rebuild? Theoretically, yeah. With what? They don't have any money. They don't have any cash for it. Will China help them? Probably a little bit. Russia. You're talking about 20 years to rebuild what we destroyed. And so to that extent, I think the commission was successful.
Well, I want to continue to keep killing Iranian regime members, make sure that they can acquire a nuclear bomb, and they are able to acquire the kinds of missiles that could strike American assets and Europe capitals for that right now. And we, as the Democrats, we weren't outraged when gasoline was more expensive just a couple of years ago. So, I mean, so far it's been short term, and we're only like 45 days into it, and oil has already dropped back down to 94 bucks.
I'm optimistic that this is going to be over very soon. If you think about the cards the Iranians hold, the military is decimated, their weapons stockpile is decimated, their economies are in real trouble. They've tried to hold the world economy hostage, and that's not going to happen. I think this is going to be over in very short order.
Well, I don't think we have a single person speaking for Iran. I think we also have factions there that are pushing for different outcomes. The reality is the regime's never been weaker. In 47 years, they don't have an army, they don't have an air force, they don't have a navy, and managing the collapse of a regime is not winning. So I think it's going to take another few weeks, but the important thing is we liberate the people from Iran, of this regime, and they're weaker than they've ever been.
Alicia Powe in Washington for TvAbraham.